Captain Reed Marlowe stood in silence, staring at the twin moons of Valaris Prime through the crystal window of the royal ship. He was dressed in formal diplomatic robes, though he hated every layer of it. Thick golden fabric wrapped around his shoulders like a cage. He missed the breathable uniforms of his old life combat suits, lightweight armor. Freedom today. There was no freedom. Today, he was to be married to an alien princess. He didn't ask for this. He didn't even want it. But Earth's survival depended on this deal. The Valari Dominion, the largest galactic empire, had recently made contact with humanity. A brief trade agreement, things became tense. Some said war was coming. Others said humanity should kneel. The United Earth Council chose a different path and alliance through marriage. Out of 8 billion humans, they chose him, Captain Marlowe. War hero, diplomatic asset, clean record, strong DNA. Or maybe just because he didn't have anyone left to say no. A voice spoke behind him, soft, smooth, and cold. "You look like you're preparing for execution." Reed turned. It was Princess Celexa. She was tall, slightly taller than him, and had glowing violet eyes. Her skin shimmered silver in the light, a trait common among the royal Valari bloodline. But her gaze wasn't cold. It was curious, sharp, like someone studying a new weapon. "You don't look like someone excited for marriage," Reed replied. "I'm not," she said flatly. "And neither are you. So let's skip the act." That surprised him. She stepped closer, folding her hands behind her back. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "This whole thing is a joke. Political games, power plays, traditions older than both. Our species, I didn't ask for this, and I don't care about some alliance. But we don't have a choice, so let's make a deal." Reed narrowed his eyes. "I'm listening. We do what they want. We act like we're in love. Smile for the cameras. Let them believe the fairy tale. Show we start looking for a way out, a way to change the game." There was silence between them. Then Reed gave a small nod. "Deal." The binding ceremony took place in the Hall of Light, a massive floating palace above Valaris Prime. It was watched by billions across the galaxy. Celexa wore a flowing gown made from a living fabric that shimmered and moved like water. Reed wore royal armor, polished to a mirror shine. Both looked the part of a fairy tale union, human and alien, together for peace. But beneath the surface, tension crackled. At the center of the ceremony was the neural binding core, an ancient Valari tradition. It wasn't just a marriage. It was a linking of minds, a neural connection that allowed both individuals to feel each other's emotions. Pain, even memories at times, was meant to build trust. It felt like invasion. As they stood on the binding platform, the High Speaker raised his hands. "Do you, Reed Marlowe of Earth, accept the bind?" "I do," he said, his voice calm but tight. "And do you, Princess Celexa of House Vareth, accept the bind?" "I do," she answered, not blinking. The neural core glowed. Thin, golden threads of energy reached out and touched both their temples. Reed felt a sudden jolt, like electricity in his brain. And then he felt her. A rush of emotions, not his own, flooded through his mind. Anger, frustration, sadness. A deep, hidden fear. She was terrified, despite her calm expression. And then he realized she could feel him too. Their eyes met. Neither said a word, but both knew this was more than they signed up for. When the energy faded, the core dimmed. Ow. The High Speaker spoke. "Again, you are now bound. One spirit, one fate." Later that night, in their private royal chambers, Reed sat on the edge of a massive bed carved from Steric. He still felt a dull pulse in his head. The link was stable, but always there, like a second heartbeat in his mind. Celexa stood near the window, arms crossed. "Well," she said, "that wasn't so bad." Reed gave a dry laugh. "You mean aside from the part where our brains were fused together in front of the galaxy?" She turned to him. Her expression had softened. "You felt it too, didn't you? My fear." He nodded. "And you felt mine." "I didn't think humans were capable of fear," she said, a hint of sarcasm. Reed raised an eyebrow. "I didn't think Valari royalty was capable of honesty." That earned a small smile from her. It was the first real one he'd seen. Then maybe we'll surprise each other. For a while they sat in silence. I wasn't lying earlier, Celexa said. My people want control. They always have. This alliance isn't about peace. About absorption. Earth has resources, willpower, and something the Dominion can't control, spirit. That scares them. Reed looked at her sharply. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want to be a weapon for their politics, she said. And because I think maybe humans are stronger than they realize. She walked over, placed a small disc on the table, and activated it. A 3D projection floated above it, a map of Dominion-controlled galaxies. There were red zones marked across the stars. These are the systems that were bound by the Dominion, she said. They resisted. They were crushed. They had no allies. No leverage. Earth is different. Reed leaned forward, eyes scanning the map. And you're giving this to me because? Because you're not just some soldier in pretty clothes, Celexa said. I saw how you looked at the guards. You're trained. You calculate exits. You plan escape routes. You're dangerous. And I want that. Reed stared at her. This was no spoiled princess. This was someone playing a long game, and he was now part of it in the days that followed. They played the part well. They smiled at galas, danced at formal events, kissed before cameras. But behind the scenes, they studied. Dominion networks, accessed restricted archives, and started decoding the ancient tech in the binding core. The neural link grew stronger. They started finishing each other's sentences, sensing danger, feeling each other's stress like it was their own. It wasn't just acting anymore. They were becoming, connected, and yet both were careful. Both were waiting. For something then. Came the night it all changed. An explosion rocked their palace tower. Screams followed. Alarms blared. Reed jumped up, instinct kicking in. He grabbed a small shield emitter from the drawer and ran toward the door. Celexa was already there, armed. With a hidden plasma blade. How did you? Your fear just hit me like thunder, she said. We're not alone. They moved through smoke-filled halls. Shadowed figures with cloaking armor attacked. Dominion assassins, but they weren't after Reed. They were after Celexa. Smoke filled the halls of the palace. Guards shouted in Valari language, and red warning lights flashed across the walls. Somewhere deep inside the structure, an explosion had torn a hole through the energy barriers. Reed Marlowe ran with Princess Celexa close behind. His heart was pounding. Not just from fear, but from something more dangerous. He could feel her panic through the neural link. Her emotions rushed into his mind like a wave. It made him run faster. Down this way, Celexa shouted, pointing toward a narrow service tunnel. Why? Reed asked, dodging debris. No cameras. And fewer guards, she replied, gripping her plasma blade tightly. They ducked into the tunnel. The sound of armored boots echoed behind them, faint, but getting closer. Reed stopped and turned. Holding up his small round device, he slammed it on the wall. It expanded into a pulse shield, a bubble of blue energy that covered the hallway. Seconds. Later, 3 cloaked attackers rushed forward. When they hit the shield, the energy crackled and threw them back like dolls. Go, Reed said. Celexa led the way through the tunnel, finally reaching a maintenance room. She locked the door behind. Then Reed leaned against the wall, catching his breath. Okay, who the hell were those guys? Celex's eyes narrowed. They were Dominion assassins, elite ones. Only the Empress's inner circle can order them. Reed stared at her. Your own people tried to kill you? She didn't answer right away. She touched the side of her head. You already know. The answer? You felt it. He had. Through the neural link, Reed had felt her fear. But he also felt something else, betrayal. A deep cut, like someone she trusted had turned against her. Why would they want you dead? He asked. I'm not the heir, she said slowly. I'm the youngest. That makes me disposable. But you're the bridge to Earth, Reed said. And maybe that's exactly why, Celexa whispered. They moved again, this time through an old escape route built centuries ago for royals during wartime. Few people even remembered it existed. Silix's knowledge of the palace structure saved them more than once. As they moved, the neural link between them started to behave strangely. Every time Celexa felt danger, Reed's muscles tensed before she even spoke. When Reed's thoughts raced, Celexa would answer questions he hadn't asked out loud. "We're sinking deeper," she said, faster than most. "Is that good? Or bad?" "Both." They reached a hidden control room far beneath the palace. From there, Celexa activated a local surveillance drone. A hologram appeared, showing chaos above fires, guards fighting shadowed figures. A second explosion in the east wing, Red pointed. "That's near the diplomatic chambers. They want to send a message," Celexa said. "They don't just want me dead. They want the Alliance to die too." Reed paced. "All right, we need to get this to the Council. If Earth knows what's going on, they'll pull me out." Celexa shook her head. "If you leave now, Earth will look weak. Dominion leaders will crush your planet just to show control. You think they'll send ships? No. They'll sign your death certificate with a smile." Reed sighed. "Then what do we do?" he asked. Celexa pulled up another map on the hologram. "There's a secure archive hidden in the Hall of Stars. It's old before the current Empress. It keeps data on royal movements, security logs, and Black Ops missions. If we can get there, we can prove someone high up ordered this hit. And what then? We leak it. Not just to Earth, but to every Dominion world. If we survive," Reed smirked. "You're not very comforting." "I'm not trying to be," she said. On their way to the Hall of Stars, Reed had time to think. It had fought in battles before. He had led missions in deep space, survived alien jungles, even once talked down a pirate queen with nothing but a smile. But this was different. This wasn't a mission. This was politics, secrets, and betrayal. This was a chessboard where everyone wore a crown and every move could kill. And he wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a symbol, a husband, a target. Celexa walked beside him, silent. But through the link he could feel her thoughts racing. Memories swirled her childhood. Her sisters, her dreams of becoming a pilot instead of a princess. He felt her loneliness, hidden under layers of royal armor. And he knew she felt his memories too. The war, the fallen friends, his brother's funeral. The moment he was told he had been chosen for this marriage. Their bond was more than words. Now they reached the Hall of Stars at night. It was silent and empty, filled with statues of ancient Valari kings and queens. A star map covered the ceiling, showing thousands of galaxies. Celexa led him to a sealed vault hidden beneath the floor. It required a royal code and a blood scan. She pressed her hand on the panel. It blinked red. Denied. Reed looked confused. "Aren't you royalty?" She frowned. "Someone locked me out." Reed looked at the panel. "Let me try something." Ink! Placed his hand over hers. The panel blinked again, this time green. The vault opened. "How?" she asked, shocked. "The Neuralink," he said. "We're bound. Maybe now you're not just you, and I'm not just me." Inside the vault they found what they needed. Holographic files, security footage, mission logs. One video showed a secret meeting between Dominion High Command and two masked figures. Celexa recognized one voice. Was her cousin, second in line for the throne. "He wants me gone," she said, her voice hollow. "He thinks I'm a threat. If the Earth Alliance becomes too strong, I might gain favor. That's why he sent the assassins." Reed didn't speak. He let her process the pain. "We need to move," he finally said. "If we stay here, they'll track us." But just as they turned to leave, alarms sounded again. They were too late. The fight came fast. Assassins dropped from above. Reed threw up his shield device, and Celexa activated her blade. Their moves were no longer separate, they moved like one. When one ducked, the other struck. When one was injured, the other felt it. Red used his old combat tricks, Earthborn instinct, unpredictable and fast. The Valari assassins were skilled but followed patterns. He didn't. He overloaded a drone core and tossed it like a grenade. The explosion knocked back 3 attackers. Celexa, bleeding from the arm, fought with anger and grace. She moved like a dancer, slicing through energy blades and dodging beams. In the end, they won. Barely. Both were bruised, exhausted, and bleeding, but alive. They limped back to the control room. Reed collapsed into a chair. Clutching his ribs, Celexa activated the transmitter and sent the files to multiple networks Earth Command, Rebel channels, even some Dominion Freethought circles. "It's done," she said. "They'll come for us now," Reed replied. "They already were," she whispered. They sat in silence. Through the neural link, something strange passed between them. Not just pain, not just fear. Respect, trust, maybe even the first spark of something more. "You saved my life," Celexa said softly, "and you saved mine." They looked at each other. Neither spoke the truth aloud, but both felt it. Something had changed. The storm came at dawn. Heavy winds and purple lightning struck the towers of Valeris Prime as the planet's orbit shifted into a magnetic field storm. It was nature's chaos, but for Reed Marlowe and Princess Celexa, it was the perfect cover. They were now fugitives. Last night, they exposed a royal conspiracy. They had proof that Silix's Kuzana, powerful noble, ordered the assassination to break the Earth-Valar alliance. The data had been leaked across Dominion networks. Now the palace hunted them. Dominion called it treason. "We can't stay here," Celexa said as she loaded the last of the supplies into their stolen skycruiser. "We don't have anywhere else to go," Reed replied. "Unless," Celexa turned. "You're thinking of the Forbidden Archive, aren't you?" Reed nodded. "Your cousin's plot was just one piece. The Empress approved his plan, or looked the other way. We need more than proof. We need to understand why the Dominion fears Earth. What are they hiding?" Celexa hesitated. "That place is cursed." Red gave a half smile. "I've fought pirates, alien beasts, and your royal guard. A cursed library doesn't scare me," she sighed. "It's not just a library. It's where the Valari erased their own history. Wars, rebellions, old tech things, even the Empress fears. No one who enters comes out the same. And let's make history by coming out alive." The Forbidden Archive was hidden deep in the planet's underbelly, inside a mountain shaped like a claw. It was sealed off by a field of black energy, pulsing like a living heart. Legend said it was once a temple for ancient Valari monks. Then it became a prison for dangerous knowledge. Only royals with first blood access could enter. Celexa had been warned as a child never to go near it. They landed the skycruiser on a rocky ledge, wind howling around them. Celexa reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small glass shard. "This is a key," she said. "My mother gave it to me once and said, 'You'll know when to use it.' I think this is the time." Reed looked at the shard. It glowed faintly in her hand. They approached the black field. As Celexa stepped forward, the shard floated from her palm and pulsed. The field rippled and opened. They stepped through inside. It was quiet. The walls were covered in glowing runes, and the air smelled like burnt ozone. Long dark hallways led. In every direction, Jeans, half alive, hummed under the floor. The lights flickered like the archive itself was breathing. Reed felt something crawl over his skin, not physically, but in his mind. "Something's wrong," he said, "I feel watched." Celexa nodded. Better. Memories. It shows you what it wants. They followed the main corridor until they reached a central chamber. In the center was a massive data heart, an ancient Valari intelligence core, shaped like a floating crystal brain. It spun slowly, surrounded by energy tendrils. "This is it," Celexa whispered. "It stores what the Dominion erased." Reed stepped closer. "Let's wake it up." Celexa placed her hand on a control pillar. The tendrils lit up. The crystal spun faster. The data heart spoke its voice like thousands whispering at once. Identity verified. Princess Silexa of Bloodline Verith. Earth-linked entity detected query. Reed stepped forward. "Show us why the Valari fear Earth. Show us what was." Erased. The air around them shimmered. A hologram flickered to life. It showed ancient humans, not from Earth, but from another star system. Strong, fast, fighting side by side with Valari rebels against the First Empress. Reed's eyes widened. That's us." Celexa stared. "Humans were here before Earth even joined the galactic map. They fought the Dominion. The holograms showed war, entire planets burning, human warriors leading uprisings, wielding strange weapons, powered by light and sound. Then the data heart revealed the truth. The Valari didn't discover humans. They tried to erase them. Long ago, a powerful human empire known as Solari Ascendants had threatened the Valari's rule. After a great war, they vanished forgotten. Hidden Earth was what was left. You weren't chosen for marriage because of peace," Celexa said slowly. "You were chosen because the Empress is scared of your bloodline." Reed stepped back. His chest felt heavy. "They're not just afraid of humans. They're afraid we'll remember who we were." Suddenly, the lights blinked red. A warning sounded in the chamber. "Unauthorized presence detected." Reed turned. "We've been followed, Celexa. Cursed. We need the core, the evidence. We can't leave empty-handed." Reed reached into his belt and pulled out a sync drive. Then, "Let's copy it fast." He plugged it into the crystal. The data heart screamed light flared across the chamber. The floor trembled. Outside the room, footsteps. Armed guards. Elite Valari purifiers, sent to protect the archive from intruders. Reed and Celexa grabbed weapons from a nearby Rakanshant. "But still deadly." "Hold the line," Reed said. "For Earth and Valeris," she replied. The battle was fierce. Blaster fire tore through the archive hall. The purifiers were fast, using cloaking fields and curved blades. But Reed fought with instincts older than tech. He moved like a ghost, using the neural link to sense danger before it came. Celexa fought like she was born for this. Graceful, precise, deadly. She protected Reed's blind spots, and he covered hers. In the end, the last purifier fell, twitching on the floor. Reed collapsed next to the console, breathing hard. The sync drive blinked green. "We've got the data." He said, "We have to get out." They ran. The archive groaned behind them like a dying god. Runes dimmed. Walls shook as they reached the exit. The black field snapped shut behind them. Back on the cruiser, it took off into the storm. Celexa set the ship's path for the outer belts and neutral zone filled with smugglers, hackers, and old war veterans. There, they could hide, find allies, and plan their next move. Reed sat in the co-pilot seat, staring at the data drive. "We're not just symbols anymore," he said. "We're a threat." Celexa looked at him, and threats change empires. Reached over and touched his hand. Through the link, warmth passed between them. Not fear, not duty, hope. Maybe this wasn't just about politics anymore. Maybe this was about something bigger, something they could build together, something worth fighting for. The stars were quiet in the outer belts. No kings ruled here. No armies patrolled. Only broken ships, old mercenaries, and hidden secrets floated in the cold dark. It was the perfect place to disappear. But Reed Marlowe and Princess Celexa didn't come to hide. They came to start something. "We'll meet him at the scrapyard moon," Celexa said, reading the message from her black glass screen. "His name is Cale Thorne, former Dominion general. He turned against the Empire 20 years ago. And he's still alive," Reed asked. "He's too stubborn to die." Reed smiled. "Sounds like my kind of guy." Their ship. A small, Valari stealth cruiser landed on a cracked metal platform. The moon below was made of scrap and rust, where old machines and starfighter parts piled like mountains. Huge robotic cranes moved across the horizon. Pulling apart warships from 100 battles, they were greeted by 2 guards with mechanical eyes and rifles. Made from mixed Texan Dominion, some Earth-made. This way, one said. They followed. The guards threw twisted metal halls into a bunker lit by red lamps and smoke. Inside sat a tall man with silver hair and a metal arm. His eyes locked on Reed. "You're the Earth Prince," he said. "The one they married to the wrong Valari," Reed chuckled.
"I was forced."
"Remember?" Cale stood. "You're braver than I expected." He turned to Celexa. "And you?"
"Ah!"
"Princess or not, you just started a war by stealing from the Forbidden Archive." "We didn't steal," she said. "We remembered." They showed Cale the data they had taken from the archive. Holograms of the ancient human empire, the Solari Ascendants, photos of Earth warriors standing beside old Valari rebels, records of secret orders by the Empress herself, proof that the Dominion erased human history to keep Earth weak. Cale watched silently. When the final file ended, he poured himself a drink and said, "You two are going to be hunted by every loyalist. From here to the Silver Rings." Reed leaned forward. "We don't need soldiers. We need truth spreaders, hackers, pilots, people who lost something to the Dominion," Celexa added. "We need to build a network. If we share the archive data wide enough across every system, they won't be able to bury it again." Cale raised an eyebrow. "A revolution with no army?" "No," Reed said. A revolution with forgotten blood." Cale agreed to help. He activated an old transmitter called the Firelink, a hidden channel used during past rebellions. It could reach smugglers, spies, and free worlds in hiding. Within hours, messages returned. Some curious, some afraid. Eager. The first to arrive was a hacker queen from the planet Nux, who once brought down half a Dominion fleet with a virus made from children's games. Then came a rogue scientist from Earth's Mars base who believed the old human tech still existed hidden in lost planets, and a Valari outcast who had once served the Empress's own guard and fled after seeing her. Order a colony wiped out, each brought something valuable: ships, weapons, ideas, and stories. Stories of how their ancestors had once fought under the Solari banner. Over the next few days, the scrapyard moon became alive with energy. Engines were repaired, secret files uploaded, drones reprogrammed, retrained pilots in Earth combat, style fast, rough, unpredictable. Celexa taught Valari rebels how to fight with precision and honor. Together, they became leaders. But the more they trained, the stronger their bond grew. Sometimes they didn't need to speak. Through the neural link, they could feel each other's fears. And hopes. One night under the starlight, Celexa stood on the edge of a broken cruiser wing. Reed joined her. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "The marriage?" She nodded. Reed looked out at the stars. "At first, I thought I was a pawn. Just a name on a treaty. But now, ... he turned to her. "Now I think I was put in the right place at the wrong time. Or maybe the wrong place at the right time." She smiled softly. "You always speak like a soldier poet. I'm still learning to be a husband." She reached out, took his hand.
"Oh."
"And I'm still learning to trust again." They stood together in silence, stars reflecting in their eyes. 3 days later, he received a warning from a spy in the Dominion. A fleet was coming. A full battle group, led by none other than Celix's cousin, Lord Vaynor, the same man who ordered her death. He had declared her a traitor, and Red, an Earth agent who corrupted her. They had less than 1 day to prepare. Cale slammed his fist on the table. "We can't match that firepower." "We don't have to," Reed said. "We hit them where it hurts." Celexa pointed at a star map. "Venner's flagship uses an older gravity core. If we overload it, the rest of his ships will lose sync. For 5 minutes, they'll be blind. And in those 5 minutes, Kale asked, we send a signal, Reed said. To every free system. We show them the truth live. The old history. The Empress's crimes. Everything. Kale nodded. A battle and a broadcast. Bold, dangerous. I like it. The next morning, they launched. The scrapyard fighters. The rebel shuttles. The Earth-Vellery hybrids. They rose like a swarm of angry bees from the dust. Reed led the strike team. Celexa flew beside him. Below, Kale and the rebels set up the signal tower on the largest piece of wreckage. The Dominion fleet arrived. Black and shining like death. At first it was a slaughter. One rebel ship after another fell, but then Reed's team punched through.
Ow.
They planted the overload spike into Venner's flagship core. The sky cracked with light. The Dominion ships blinked, lost connection. For 5 minutes they were blind. The Firelink signal activated. Every planet, every outpost, every hidden base saw the truth. Not just words, images, names, crimes, lies. They saw that Earth was once mighty. They saw that humans were not weak, but warriors. And they saw Celexa standing beside Red Knot, as a puppet but as a fighter. Vaynor screamed aboard his ship, ordering attacks. But the flagship's core melted. His ship spiraled. Reed and Celexa returned to the scrapyard moon as heroes. They had survived, for now. But this was only the beginning. In the silence that followed the battle, Celexa turned to Reed. We can't run anymore. I don't plan to, he said. She stepped closer. Then let's do more than survive. Let's lead. Reed nodded. For Earth. For Valeris. And together. For the forgotten. The Firelink broadcast had reached thousands of systems. It exposed the Empress's secrets, the erased human history, the truth behind the forced marriage between Reed Marlowe and Princess Celexa. Many across the stars now saw Reed not as a pawn, but as the spark of a coming fire, and Celexa not as a royal traitor, but as a leader of a rising cause. But truth was only the beginning. The Dominion had not fallen, not yet. The Empress was angry, more dangerous than ever. And she had one. Final weapon. A weapon lost to legend. A planet Alindros that had vanished centuries ago. The last known base of the Solari Ascendants. And she had found it. A message came through Kale's private channel. Encrypted. Broken, but real. A rebel scout, breathless, said, The Empress. She found Alindros. She's going to wipe it from existence. She's scared of what's buried there. Celexa turned pale. Reed clenched his fists. Then we have to beat her there, but how? Kale asked. The location of Alindros was wiped from all maps. Celexa reached into her pouch and pulled out the glass shard, again the one that had opened the forbidden archive. This is a blood key, she said. Volari royalty used it to access ancient star paths. My mother once told me, it doesn't point to a place, it points to a legacy. Reed took her hand, then we follow it. The journey to Alindros was through a hidden wormhole near the edge of the galaxy. The shard pulsed brighter the closer they got. Their fleet was small, just a few dozen rebel ships. Old, damaged, outgunned, but full of people. Who believed? Celexa stood on the bridge beside Reed. This is it, she whispered. If Alindros is real, we find the last truth. If it's not, Reed finished, then we fight anyway. They entered the wormhole. What they found on the other side wasn't just a planet, it was a graveyard of gods. Alindros floated in. Silence, surrounded by broken space stations, shattered moons, and glowing crystal fields. Its surface burned with violet light, but it was alive. Scans showed ruins, and something pulsing deep below like a heart. But they weren't alone. The Dominion fleet was already there, and above them all hovered the Empress's personal warship. The Veilborn Crown. We're too late, Kale said. No, Reed said. We still have something she doesn't. What? Us? They landed near the central ruins. Celexa guided them through old structures that looked like both. Earth and Volari design a mix of two ancient civilizations. This is proof, she said. Humans and Volari built this place together. Inside the main temple, they found chamber with murals. It showed the Solari Ascendant's humans glowing with power, standing beside Valari warriors. They weren't enemies, they were allies. And in the center of the room, a console made of living stone. Reed approached. The stone lit up under his hand. A voice filled the chamber. "You are of Solari blood. You have returned." Reed stepped back. "It's recognizing me?" The floor shifted. A platform rose. Inside was an old weapon. Not a gun, not a bomb, but a Solari Cora, pure energy device that could awaken entire systems, heal planets, or destroy fleets. The true legacy of Earth's forgotten empire. Suddenly, the roof exploded. The Empress's elite forces descended from the sky. Dark armor, red blades, no mercy. Leading them was Vaynor, Silix's cousin, alive and burning with hatred. "You should have died in the archive," he shouted. "You think you can save the galaxy with lies and ruins?" Reed stepped forward. "Not lies, history. And we're not saving the galaxy. We're saving its future from people like you." The battle began. Kale and the rebels fought outside, holding the landing zone. Explosions lit up the sky. Silixa and Reed fought inside. The temple. Blades clashed. Shields sparked. Vaynor was strong, but Reed was faster. He remembered the movements from old Earth training. Feints, strikes, grit. He wasn't royalty. He was a soldier. And this time, he wasn't alone. Silixa moved like lightning, her blade finding the weak points in Vaynor's armor. They fought as one. In the final strike, Vaynor lunged him in for Reed's heart. Silixa jumped in front, deflecting the blow with her blade, then driving her own into Vaynor's chest. He fell. Outside, the Dominion fleet began to fire. On the planet, the sky turned red. Buildings shattered. Reed rushed to the Solari core. "We can't let it fall into her hands. What will you do?" Silixa asked. He looked at the device. "It's linked to me. I can activate it. But it might burn me out." She grabbed his hand. "No, we do it together." Fred nodded. They touched the core at the same time. Light exploded. The core responded. It sent a wave of energy across the battlefield. Rebel weapons charged, shields restored. Ships repaired midair. The Dominion fleet systems collapsed. Their weapons shut down. Engines died. And above them, the Empress's warship cracked. She screamed from her throne, watching her empire fall. Then ... silence. The battle was over. The Dominion ships fled. The Empress disappeared. Ilindros was saved, and the galaxy had changed forever. Weeks later, news spread across the stars. The Dominion had fallen back. Free systems had declared unity. A new council was forming, not ruled by blood or control, but by memory and choice. At the center of it all were two names, Reed Marlowe. Silixa, V.I. Flame, and the Valari Heart. Together, they returned to Valeris Prime not in chains, but as heroes. The people, once silent, now shouted their names, not as prince and princess, but as leaders of a new age. That night, on the highest tower, Reed stood under the stars. Silixa joined him. "So," she said with a smile, "you were forced to marry an alien princess." Reed grinned. "And everything changed when I realized she was the most dangerous, stubborn, beautiful rebel in the galaxy." She raised an eyebrow. "Dangerous and beautiful. You saved me. And then you saved everyone else." Silixa took his hand. "We saved each other." And as the stars above burned brighter than ever, the flame of the Solari rose again. Not through power, not through war, but through memory and love.